Top 10 The first inventions that changed the world. Humans have come up with some incredible and occasionally bizarre creations. Several important achievements stand out as particularly revolutionary, from the instant someone bashed a rock on the ground to form the first sharp-edged tool, through the introduction of the wheel, to the invention of Mars rovers and the Internet. Here are our top lists of the most significant innovations of all time, as well as the science behind them, and how they came to be. 10. The wheel. The wheel. Humans were severely limited in how much and how far they could transport goods overland before the creation of the wheel in 3500 BC. The most difficult part of creating the wheel wasn't the wheel itself. According to David Anthony, an anthropology professor at Hartwick College, things got complex when it came to attaching a non-moving platform to the rolling cylinder. Anthony previously told Live Science, the wheel and axle design was a stroke of brilliance. However, making it was also difficult. He stated that, for example, the holes in the middle of the wheels and at the ends of the fixed axles had to be nearly perfectly round and smooth. The axle's size, as well as its snugness inside the hole, were both important considerations. Not too tight, but not too loose either. The effort paid off handsomely. Wheeled carts aided agriculture and commerce by allowing items to be transported to and from markets and alleviating the difficulties of individuals who had to travel long distances. Wheels are now ubiquitous in our daily lives, appearing in everything from clocks to automobiles to wind turbines. 9. The nail. The nail. This important invention dates back over 2,000 years to the ancient Roman period, and it was only conceivable when humanity learned to cast and shape metal. Previously, wood buildings had to be constructed by geometrically joining adjacent boards, which was a far more time-consuming procedure. According to the University of Vermont, hand-wrought nails were the standard until the 1790s and early 1800s, with a blacksmith heating a square iron rod and then striking it on four sides to make a point. Between the 1790s and the early 1800s, nail-making machines became available. According to the University of Vermont, once Henry Bessemer found a way to mass-produce steel from iron, the iron nails of the past gradually faded. And by 1886, 10% of U.S. nails were made from soft steel wire. Steel wire accounted for 90% of nails produced in the United States by 1913. Meanwhile, the screw, a stronger but more difficult to insert fastener, is widely credited to the Greek scholar Archimedes in the 3rd century BC, but according to David Blockley's book, it was likely devised by the Pythagorean philosopher Archytas of Tarentum. 8. The compass. The compass. The stars were utilized by ancient seafarers for navigation, but this approach did not operate during the day or on overcast nights, making journey far from land risky. The first compass was created in China between the 2nd and 1st century AD under the Han Dynasty. It was made of lodestone, a naturally magnetic iron ore whose appealing qualities had been studied for years. However, it was initially employed for navigation during the Song Dynasty, which ruled between the 11th and 12th centuries. Soon after, the technology reached the West via maritime contact. The compass allowed mariners to navigate safely far from land, allowing them to explore the world and develop global trade as a result. The compass, an instrument that is still commonly used today, has profoundly changed our knowledge and comprehension of the earth. 7. The printing press. The printing press. Between 1440 and 1450, German inventor Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press. The hand mold, a revolutionary molding process that allowed for the quick manufacture of vast amounts of metal movable type, was crucial to its development. Though others had produced movable type made of metal before him, notably inventors in China and Korea, Gutenberg was the first to devise a mechanized technique for transferring the ink, which he made from linseed oil and soot, from the movable type to paper. Printing presses, using this movable type technology, increased the pace with which book copies could be manufactured by orders of magnitude, allowing for the first time in history the rapid and extensive diffusion of knowledge. By 1500, workshops would be present in every major urban center. Up to 20 million volumes were printed in Western Europe by 1500, according to some estimates, whereas Eisenstein believes it was closer to 8 million. The printing machine, among other things, made the Bible more accessible, allowing for alternative interpretations such as Martin Luther's 95 Theses, a treatise printed by the thousands that ignited the Protestant Reformation. 6. The internal combustion engine. The internal combustion engine, the burning of fuel in these engines produces a high-temperature gas, which expands and exerts a force on a piston, causing it to move. Combustion engines transfer chemical energy into mechanical work in this manner. The internal combustion engine, which took on its, basically, contemporary shape in the second part of the 19th century, was the result of decades of engineering by many scientists. The engine ushered in the industrial age and paved the way for the development of a wide range of devices, including contemporary automobiles and airplanes. The steps of a four-stroke internal combustion engine are depicted. The strokes are as follows: 1. Intake stroke. Air and vaporized fuel are drawn in. 2. Compression stroke. Fuel vapor and air are compressed and ignited. 3. Power stroke. Fuel combusts and the piston is pushed downwards, powering the machine. 4. Exhaust stroke. Exhaust is driven out. 5. The telephone. The telephone, several inventors pioneered electrical voice transmission, with many of them submitting intellectual property cases as telephone use spread, but Alexander Graham Bell, a Scottish inventor, was the first to be granted a patent for the electric telephone on March 7, 1876. The Elisha Gray-Alexander Bell controversy and its many players, by historian A. Edward Evanson, claims that Bell made the first telephone call to his helper, Thomas Watson, 3 days later, stating, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." His family impacted Bell's decision to invent the telephone. According to Evanson, his father taught spoken elocution and specialized in teaching the deaf to talk. His mother, a talented pianist, lost her hearing later in life. And his wife Mabel, whom he married in 1877, had been deaf since the age of 5. The invention took off immediately, revolutionizing worldwide trade and communication. On August 2, 1922, when Bell died, all telephone service in the United States and Canada was turned off for 1 minute in his honor. 4th. The light bulb. The light bulb. The light bulb revolutionized our environment by reducing our reliance on natural light and allowing us to work at any time of day or night. Several inventors contributed to the development of this groundbreaking technology in the 1800s. Thomas Edison is recognized with being the major inventor because he constructed a fully operating lighting system. This technology not only ushered in the introduction of electricity into houses throughout the Western world, but it also had the unintended consequence of altering people's sleeping patterns. Rather than going to bed at nightfall and sleeping in pieces throughout the night, we now stay awake except for the 7 to 8 hours permitted for sleep, and, ideally, we sleep all at once. 3. Penicillin. Penicillin, it's one of history's most well-known discovery stories. Alexander Fleming, a Scottish chemist, discovered a bacteria-filled petri dish with its lid accidentally ajar in his laboratory in 1928. The sample had become contaminated with mold, and the bacteria had died everywhere the mold was found. That antibiotic mold turned out to be the fungus Penicillium, and researchers refined it and developed the medication penicillin during the next 2 decades, which tackles a wide range of bacterial diseases in humans without damaging them. By 1944, penicillin had been mass-produced and commercialized. This notice on a curbside mailbox instructed World War II soldiers to use the medicine to get rid of venereal disease. About 1 in 10 people have an allergic reaction to the antibiotic, according to a study published in 2003 in the journal Clinical Reviews in Allergy and Immunology. Even so, most of those people go on to be able to tolerate the drug. The second. The contraceptives. Contraceptives, birth control pills, condoms, and other forms of contraception have not only sparked a sexual revolution in the developed world by allowing men and women to have sex for pleasure rather than procreation, but they have also significantly reduced the average number of children per woman in countries where they are used. Modern families have greater living standards and can offer better for each child because they have fewer mouths to feed. Meanwhile, contraceptives are assisting in the gradual stabilization of the human population on a worldwide scale. Our population will most likely stabilize by the end of the century. Condoms, for example, are a type of contraception that helps to prevent the transmission of sexually transmitted illnesses. For millennia, people have employed natural and herbal contraception. According to academic Jessica Borga in her book Protective Practices, A History of the London Rubber Company and the Condom Business, condoms or sheaths have existed in some form or another since ancient times, with the rubber condom invented in the 19th century. Meanwhile, in 1960, the FDA approved the first oral contraceptive pill in the United States, and by 1965, more than 6.5 million women in the United States were using it. Scientists are still making progress in the field of birth control, with some labs even working on a male version of the pill. The Food and Drug Administration authorized Esher, a permanent birth control implant. In 2002, while the FDA warned in 2016 that the device would require stronger warnings to inform users about the serious risks of using it. The first. The Internet. The Internet is a global network of interconnected computer networks utilized by billions of people all over the world. In the 1960s, a group of computer scientists working for the U.S. Defense Department's ARPA, Advanced Research Projects Agency, created ARPANET, the predecessor of the Internet, to connect the agency's computers. It used a data transmission technology called packet switching, which was invented by Lawrence Roberts, a computer scientist and team member, based on previous work by other computer scientists. In the 1970s, scientists Robert Kahn and Vinton Cerf invented the Transmission Control Protocol, TCP, and the Internet Protocol, IP, which were critical communication protocols for the Internet. The Internet advanced further in 1989, courtesy to computer scientist Tim Berners-Invention of the World Wide Web while working at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. The core aim of the WWW, according to CERN, was to unite the growing technologies of computers, data networks, and hypertext into a powerful and simple-to-use worldwide information system. The invention of the WWW made the Internet accessible to everyone and connected the world in ways it had never been connected before.
For taking the time to watch, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get the latest related videos from my channel. And like this video to show your support for me.